let's start. Now, I'm going to show you a bit of stitching in the ditch the right way. I have put on my machine, it's called an accufeed foot. If you were using a different machine, I'll try and find one. Have I got one to hand? Hang on a moment. Yeah, this one. There's a more typical one, yeah, which is what they would call a walking foot that you could administer to your thing. Yeah, with Janome, we use a system called accufeed, which is brilliant, and it also means that I can interchange the foot. Now, the reason I'm putting on a walking foot, if you like, accufeed a walking foot, is because I want equal tension from the top to the bottom, so there are little grips on what will go down here to equivalent to the bottom feeding, so it's top and bottom feeding at the same time. This the foot I've got on here at the moment is just your average Joe foot. If you didn't have, I'm trying to find you out the same thing. No, where is it? I know I have got one, a normal foot that will do this, like, which wouldn't attach to the walking foot. But let me just put this in front of you so you can see. Can you see? This is what we call a stitch in a ditch foot. Yeah, this is a much larger version because it's going to go on my foot. But it's basically got a wedge or a line, yeah, in the middle that will separate the fabric as we go. Okay, so that's a stitch in a ditch foot. Now, for me to be able to use that, I need to just pull forward my normal foot, and in the same vein then, just ring up and put my lugs, if I may, yeah, through that one, pull out my thread because I'm already threaded, and just pass that through the middle. Now, I am just using white on top and white underneath because I got a white background. If you were using a different colour background, you would want to put in the bottom bobbin the colour of your background, so it's not, you know, it's not going to show through too much. Now, as I said to you before, I want to stitch in a ditch the thirds to start off with. Once I got the thirds down, I will press the back because it will be solidified by the stitching that I've just done. Now, I'm not going to do the end third first. It's like everything else, we work from the middle so that we can smooth out as we go. So I just pop in this under my needle and whizzing it over. I'm going to take the weight of it on my lap and I'm whizzing it over to the middle third or the outside, and you know, at the end of the day you can roll, you can fold. You might have to do this far more than I do because I got quite a, you know, a wide throat on my thing. But anyway, basically I got a few threads here I could just pull away. If you get like these loose threads, well, get a little pair of scissors like me and just cut them away because you don't want them. Some come out on their own, yeah, like that is, and some are still in the stitching, so you can just get rid of them as you see them. Right, so I'm now this with stitching in the ditch, right? Okay, because we fold, you know, you always find odd threads because we when we iron our seams, we iron, especially, you know, we iron outside or we iron inside or what have you, but it will give you a ditch in as much as if you run your fingers across the fabric. I'm working from top to bottom, so if I run my fingers across the fabric, this side is higher than the other side, yeah? And what we need to do is, I'm just going to let my, nope, that's no good. I am just going to move it forward so my needle is going to start right at the edge. I'm going to keep this pointer all the way down this edge. I'm going to start with a tie-off stitch. If you've got one, use it. If you haven't, it's not so bad because this is going to get worked in anyway. Length of stitch, keep it. I'm going to put length stitch up from 240, which is your norm. I'm going to put that up to 3 because we're now working as if it's top stitch, yeah? I've also changed my needle from my embroidery needle to a universal needle, yeah? Which is a stronger needle because we're going through the depth of 3 layers now, so it's a bit of a stronger needle. It's not a top needle, but I'm using Smet's universal needle, yeah? Now, I just put that down and I'm going to press a tie-off stitch. Oh, I've got another setting on here which I need to sort out, which is settings. I don't want it to cut off after it tie off. Just a minute. My thread cut after auto lock was on, so I've just turned that off and I will just do that again. Well, I didn't want to do it then. Anyway, right, so I'm following down. As I say, this is not a race. You want to keep a straight line with your needle right behind that guide. I'm not looking at the needle, I am looking at the front guide because the needle will always follow behind. Okay, I should pick this up and show this to you in a minute. So that you can see that you can't see my stitches. This is stitching in the ditch. When I go wrong, you'll see it. Again, taking the weight of the quilt on your lap and furling up. I hope you can see it over the top. Just literally not allowing any drag to affect you. I tell you what I do need to do is spray my top with silicone, which I'll do next time, right? So I'm just keeping it all nice and smooth in front of me. And because I've moved that stitch up to 3, it's going to go through it quite quickly. Alright, so I'll make sure I'm not itched. I'm not dragging, and it is in the centre. I'm using this outside guide to follow my seam because the needle follows right behind there. Yeah, any stage you think, oh hang on, just readjust, get yourself all back where you want to be, and just continue. Yeah, readjust your fabric. Again, you've got stragglers. You're going to find stragglers as you go. Yeah. Now, my front has crossed the line where I want to be, so now I'm going to go real slow until I see, yep, that my stitching has come to the end, and I'll press the lock off stitch. Then I'll press cut. Now, I don't know how I'm going to show this to you. Oh, up, silly soft, and up, right. I'll have to get rid of that. At some stage, I'll zoom right in on this, but trust me, you can barely see my stitching. So I've done that third, yeah, so I'm going to just be scooting back a bit so I can do the whole length, and I'm just going to be pulling it over and rolling it, pulling it over and rolling it, right till I get to a workable level on the inner third. Yeah, again I'm adjusting to where I know my needle's coming down, which is going to be there, I can see it, and I'm going to press lock off. Right, so it's done the lock off. Taking the weight on my lap. Nearly there. I got a spraggler there, and I certainly got a. Oh, that was me join in my pattern matching. That's fine. You're not going to see that again once I've done the outside. Right. So now I am watching it very, 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 very carefully. So it gets what I want to do and press the lock off stitch. press the cup. Okay, so that's my next stitch in the ditch. So now I've done, I got a knee lift, so I can bring my foot up a lot bigger when I twist something around, so that I can get on a par, again folding over the outside, so I'm not using it yet, and come down and concentrate to letting my foot drop. No. Test my needle drop. No, that's too far back. Test my needle drop. Yeah, that's going to be perfect for me. So then I will do a lock off stitch. Now I'm ready to go again. When I've done the next bit, I'll stop it and show you the back to see what I've done. Any point you're uncomfortable, stop, straighten out your quilt. You are following this blade. Lock off stitch and cut at the bottom. Okay, now so I've done that one. I've got one more that I want to do. I'm going to roll this up a bit more so I got some to work with. Bring that down flat, go back up to the top. I've got this last one to do. Make sure that I'm in the right place. Crank my needle towards me so I know that that's where it's going to be. Lock off stitch. Start with, and then boom. I'm good to go. Again, it's not a race. You don't have to go fast. Just follow your line. I'm stopping there because I can see I've got errant thread there. Get rid of that. I got one there. Oh, that came out. That came out and that came out. Little threads. Right, okay, get rid of them. Keep it all nice and flat and just keep going. Taking the weight up. Again, taking the weight up. So you're trying to cause it the least friction you can, while you're following down your line with that peak, yeah? excuse me, lock off stitch and cut. So now I've done the thirds that we talked about before on the other video. So that's holding, if I pull out the whole thing from under the needle. Now I want to show you what the back looks like. I might have to go in the other room and do this, but I know this is still creased up, it's still not ironed and not creased up, but you can see now where my lines are, my crisscross lines are, which is basically, in the simplest form, holding the back and the batting to the front, so it can never move now. Now is the time, before we get even more intricate, is to press it so that you're working on an even smoother surface to do the next bit of things that we want to do, because we're going to get more and more involved. Alright then, so far we have done the most basic stitch in the ditch. You can do that on every seam or every other seam on your block, on your piece blocks. We need to go around the outside so it pins down all the corners, so that now it's just the borders that are floppy. But what I'm going to do in the next video is go on to say, well, now if you weren't satisfied with just doing stitch in a ditch, what else can you do that isn't too difficult? I don't want to get into free motion because I think that's a bit too soon, but what else could you use to do some more decorative stitch on your work that you'll be happy with?